Hello guys, welcome back to my channel Be Great on Earth. And as you know, we discuss issues of political interest and governance interest. Now today I am going to do a quick breakdown of what the President of the Republic of Ghana, President Akufo-Addo, said in his recent State of the Nations address. As you may be aware, yesterday the President of the Republic, His Excellency Akufo-Addo, went to Parliament to give his penultimate State of the Nations address, as required by the Constitution, that every year the President must, update the people of the country of the current state of the nations as to what the government has done, what they are doing, and what they intend to do in the coming years or in the coming months. So, for 2024, the President, in the last 24 hours, went to Parliament to give his State of the Nations address, which usually we call SONA in Ghana. Now, I am going to really run you through some of the highlights or some of the important things that came up or he mentioned during the State of the Nations address. Now, the first thing the President mentioned, which I think it's of interest, is the fact of the security of the country. Now, he began his State of the Nations address by telling the country the state of the country's security. Right now, this is very important because for some time now, our borders or the neighbors or our neighbors within our borders are experiencing some instability, right, and some insecurity within their countries. So it was important to have brought this to light, that despite whatever is going on, Ghana is still safe. And he says that this is as a result of the hard work of the police and military and all those security agencies, as well as the policy direction of the government. That is why we have experienced some stability in the system for some time now. That's what he says, right? And this is also important because in some few months from now, Ghana is going to the polls to vote the general election, the parliamentary election. And one of the key things that are being stressed in every election is the peace and the security, right, within the country. So he highlighted this to, reiterate that during the course of the elections, there would be peace within the country. Right. Now, one other thing the President, mentioned was that, for some time now, there's been a controversy whether or not the 1992 Constitution of Ghana must be amended or must be changed completely. Now, the President, hinted that, or he added his voice to the fact that when it comes to the Constitution that we are using now, the Constitution has served as war for more than 20 years now. That notwithstanding, it is not a perfect document, right? And that there is the need, right, to look at some provisions. So he essentially is not looking at the complete overhaul of the Constitution or the throwing away of the current Constitution and bringing in new Constitution. What he is saying is that he believes that despite the fact that the Constitution has served us well, it has some shortcomings, and so there is the need, right, to go back to it and look at those portions of the Constitution that must be changed, that must be worked on, or that must be revised. So that's one area or one thing that he mentioned. Another thing that he mentioned, which it is of key importance, is the fact that 2024 we are going to have general election in December, right? So there was the need for the President to reassure the people of Ghana that the election is going to be free and fair, the election is going to be peaceful, the election is going to capture the interest of everyone, and no one is going to be deprived of their right to vote and all those stuff. So the President brought that to light, that the 2024 election is going to be free, is going to be fair, and then the Electoral Commission, which is tasked to, as it were, to come up with procedures or processes or guidelines to guide the conduct of the elections. The Commission, it's all doing their work, and he also went ahead to charge them to be transparent in their dealings and all those stuff. So that's one key area that the President had to talk about in his recent State of the Nations address. Now, other things that is also important is the fact that he mentioned, or he tried to tell some of the achievement of his government. Now, on the judiciary front, he says that the government has so far recruited some staff for the judiciary. So the judicial strength of the judiciary, or the staff strength of the judiciary, is now up. And he also mentioned that as part of the process to ensure efficiency and to save time, the judicial process or processes have been digitalized. The judicial processes have been digitalized in a way to improve efficiency or to improve the processes of the judiciary in the country. Now, he also mentioned one thing that has become so controversial, after the speech, is that the Attorney General has so far saved the country about 10 trillion Ghana cedis. This is interesting. People are asking, where's the money? Right. So he says that the Attorney General has been able to represent the state or the country in so many suits, and as a result of that, has saved Ghana some monies, right? I should choose some monies for the country. And people are asking where the money is. Now, another key feature of his speech that you may be interested is what he calls the digitalization of the economy, where the economy or every aspect of the economy is being digitalized, right? So he mentioned that as part of the digitalization process, about 17.6 million Ghanaians have been enrolled on the national identification card, what we call the Ghana card, right, as compared to some 9,000 when they came into office. He says that has improved and helped their agenda to digitalize the entire economy of Ghana. One other thing he touts is, as part of the digitalization process, they have been able to give addresses to various locations. You remember that the debate of we giving names and having proper addresses have been a subject of debate in Ghana for some time now, right? So he says that, and recently you'll be aware that when you go to places, you see that there is digitalization address and all those things. He says that is one achievement of his government, and it's something that they keep doing and all those stuff. Now, one other thing he mentions as part of the digitalization effort is the transaction, that is mobile money transaction interoperability, that he says that it has made businesses run smoothly and faster, and in order for people to, or businessmen and women, to make the profit that they deserve or they need. He also mentioned the IMF program that Ghana went in and all those things. He says so far it has been successful, despite the fact that the Minister of Finance, who was supervising the program, is no more in office. He mentioned that that alone, his absence, the absence of the Minister of Finance, let's say Kenneth is not going to really affect the program, right, that they are currently running. So that is one area that he also mentions. That now it's also important to stress one key thing that he mentions. In fact, President Akufo-Addo for some time now has been known for renaming of institutions, of places and all those that. Recently, you remember the controversial one that he came up with is to name the University of Ghana after J.B. Dankwa, which he received a lot of backlash, right? Ghanaians disagree with him. Now, what he's come up with is that his government, before he leaves office, in January 2025, what they are going to do is they are going to rename the Kumasi International Airport, right, after Nana Prempeh Ajman Prempeh the first. And he's also going to rename the Temali International Airport after Yakubu Tali. So he's going to Yakubu Tali International Airport and all those that. So people are saying that for some time now he's been criticized for renaming. People are saying that, well, instead of renaming, why don't you focus on putting up infrastructure? But I think on this I agree, because some important monuments or structures or organizations must properly be named, right? So to just say Kumasi International Airport really may not really be befitting, right? But to name it after a person or after a situation or after an individual, I think that is proper. Now, one thing that he mentions, which it must be told, is the fact that he says that his government is going to construct 4 new universities before he leaves. I am wondering how this is going to be, because the president has barely 8 or 9 months or so to leave office, right? So he says they are going to construct 4 new universities. As to whether they have been started, I don't know, but he says they are going to construct one in Mampong in the Ashanti region, one in Akrodi in the Bono region, and then Bunsu in the eastern region, and the last one Kintampo in the Bono East region. So this is what he makes of it. Now, the other thing that must be told is the fact that he says that free SHS has been successful so far. He mentions that so far about 17,340 people or students enrolled in 2023. He says that it has been successful, though there is a need for improvement, there is a need for changes and all those, but largely it has been successful. Well, when it comes to employment, I mean, recently the Ghana Statistical Service came up with the employment situation in the country. They mentioned that 2 out of every 5 Ghanaian youth are unemployed, right? So the president touched on the employment, though people say he failed to touch on the overall employment situation in the country, and then he tried as much as possible. What he did was to touch on what employment or how many employments have been offered or have been created under the one district, one factory, situation or initiative. He says that so far about 170,000 jobs have been created under the one district, one factory program. Though, Ghanaians are saying that it wasn't a full picture of the employment situation that are within the country. One thing that really took the attention of the members of parliament is when he mentioned the doomsday situation. He says that, well, under his government, they have managed the energy sector with discipline and some expertise. So he was giving some shade to the other side, meaning that during their time they did not manage with discipline and with expertise. So he says that under his leadership there is no doomsday, and they are going to continue to manage the energy sector with discipline and with expertise, right? One other thing he mentioned is that about 150 young Ghanaians were trained in various aspects of their field to help the economy grow and other things. Now, the last thing that I'm going to talk about is what he calls the performance tracker. People have been questioning what exactly has the government done, or has the government been doing for the last 70 years. And he is saying that he cannot give a tall list of all those that have been done. And so the government is going to launch what they call performance tracker. What essentially that is going to do is to track. If you want to know what the government has done over the years, you log on to the platform and you check what they have done. So essentially it's going to be a tracker or an app or a platform for as it were to chronicle all that they've done since they came into office for the last 70 years, and anyone can sit anywhere and track. That is the point that he makes. Lastly, he says that on agriculture, he says that so far for the past 15 years, no government has increased the prices of cocoa like what his government has done. His government has increased it from 800 cedis per bag to 1,300 per bag. And he even hinted that in the coming cocoa season, they are going to do more. Or they are going to increase, the prices of cocoa for farmers. So this is just, some highlight from the State of the Nation's address read by the president. Now, with time, we will be doing, complete breakdown analysis of each of the things or the key things that was said. But for today, just to let you know and let you understand, to let you know what exactly went into, the president spoke for about 1 hour 40 minutes, reading about a 30-page document, and that is huge. So our job here was to break everything down, to summarize everything in less than 50 minutes for you to know what is going on. And so this is by way of my analysis or my summary recap of the State of the Nation's address read or given by the president in the last 24 hours in the Parliament of Ghana. My name is Big Great. Stay tuned.